Joe, so here's an answer to some questions. This is going to be super boring for everybody else, so just scroll on if you want. Anybody who wants to hear a thought on this, I'll just answer some questions for somebody here. So, hey Axel, what's your opinion on the idea of fiat economies that will accelerate faster than a strict hard money economy? That's the first part of the question here. Of course they'll accelerate faster. You're conjuring money out of nothing, and you're allowing prices to go up faster than actual genuine demand. So prices operate like this in general. Let's say you come up with a cool product, and then there's this huge demand. So your prices have to go up because you just can't meet demand until competitors come into the marketplace and they make something similar to it, and then the prices tend to level off. Okay, that is a normal part of the economy. And as more people enter that market space to compete, prices will come down until eventually there isn't really a lot of profit margin left. And then the market slows and softens and it just sort of goes away, right? So this is, it's referred to in economic terms, in ridiculous economic terms, I should say, as a boom and a bust. It's not a boom and a bust. It's just a boom and then a correction. Right, especially if once it actually hits everybody's houses, how many more do you really need? Especially if it's a high quality product. Does that make sense? Okay, so yeah, when you create a fiat currency, you're just blasting dollars into the economy. What dollars, euros, rubles, yen, it doesn't matter. You're just blasting that in there, and it gives the illusion of prices going up. And this is because most of these companies have borrowed a bunch of money to create these companies. And when you do that, there's no way to pay that back fundamentally. You understand? With interest, it's actually not possible to pay back any loans with interest without becoming a slave. Okay, it's just impossible to do that. Even if it was 0.1% on a loan, it's really not possible because you still have to pull that out of the marketplace. You understand? So that's how that works. So let's see here. It's been said that when the fractional reserve, I already covered this. I just did that. The limits becomes a speculative scheme. Yes. Game theory, fiat versus hard money. Well, yeah. Again, I just covered all of that. In fact, are hard money countries forced to adopt a fiat system in order to compete with their military? Well, yeah. I mean, if you've convinced a bunch of people to fight your wars for pieces of paper. Napoleon Bonaparte said something very similar. He said, I've discovered a remarkable thing. Men will die for ribbons. And yeah, as long as you have, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but as long as you have young men, let's be real here, that are willing to go and sacrifice themselves for honor and glory, there's no honor and glory in any of this. But as long as you have young men that are willing to go do that, well, then it's not that much of a stretch to say, oh yeah, here's some worthless scraps of paper too, and you can trade these for whores and what have you. I mean, so yeah. Finally, I want to know if it's indeed possible to avoid fiat entirely. It is, but it requires a parallel system, and parallel systems are becoming near impossible to do. This is actually, in fact, when the Soviet Union was around, there was this, in other words, the totalitarian state. Okay, so a bunch of people, unfortunately, on the right, still think of the totalitarian state as exclusively government. That is not the case. It is actually any form of oligarchy or tyranny, which can be a corporate oligarchy as well. It can be both, okay? And many times they're, once again, as I'm known for saying, it is the same people. They are one and the same. These are one and the same group of people. It's just how it is, okay? So, so you need to have a parallel economy, and if all the means of production have been seized by the corporate oligarchs or the government oligarchs, it doesn't make any difference, remember. And they want dollars or some kind of equally worthless paper, you then first have to buy dollars in order to conduct business. And if you always have to buy their dollars, then you're always propping their system up. You're always propping up the Ponzi scheme. I've tried for 3 years to explain this. I'm convinced that probably not even 1% of people understand it. I don't know how much more simple I could make the lesson. I have tried. I've got 3 years of videos of me trying to explain this, and I just don't think it works. As long as you have to always buy another currency first in order to transact, they will always win. Okay, you understand? So having a parallel system is very difficult unless you have other people that are willing to play and are willing to go outside that system as well. The problem is that system is very alluring because it gives you promises of Bugattis and Lamborghinis and choice pieces of ass and on and on. That's exactly how this works. That's why you always have somebody you always have the winner, right? You always have the guy who's, like, oh, I'm a billionaire because I did this, this, and this. And no, you're a billionaire because a handful of oligarchs, banking oligarchs, gave you a bunch of money to pretend to be a billionaire. This includes Trump, Musk, all of them. I mean, it's all of them. Bezos, all of these guys. I'm not saying they didn't work hard, but as I've said before, so do roofers in Houston in August. Okay? I mean, lots of people work hard, but they're not billionaires. Why is that? Well, it's because you always have to have somebody you got to put somebody out there as the winner to get people to come into the casino. Right? You never post pictures. Notice that a casino never posts pictures of all the people who lost all their money. They don't do that. They don't write articles. They don't have news stories about the people who showed up at the casino and lost everything. No, they have the story about the guy who showed up and just happened to win, even if it's rigged. So finally, let's see here. Why would the founders not create an amendment to create hard currency? They actually didn't create an amendment, but there actually was the Coinage Act of 1791 or 92, and where it said that the founders actually said that we need to have accurate weights and measures, and accurate weights and measures meaning that you establish a unit of measurement and then you stick to it. So if you're going to have a troy ounce, 1 troy ounce, and troy comes from Troy, France, and it was an established unit of measurement of gold, and you're going to call that 1 troy ounce of 999 fine gold $20, 20 US dollars, if that's which is what it was, then that establishes your weights and measures. That establishes your baseline, okay? And if you stick to that, well, then you're not going to have any problems. The only problem you're going to have is that your oligarchs are going to lose money eventually, because usually by the third generation will just start blowing through the money, and they won't understand why they went broke, because they didn't do any of the work. That's what ends up happening. And it happens every single time. It's very predictable. You can set your watch to it. Third to the fourth generation, somewhere thereabouts, the kids of somebody who creates the wealth eventually lose it all. Why do they still have it to this day? Why is it you have these legacy Kennedys and on and on and on? It's because of the government, right? It's because they just keep creating more and more laws. Remember, laws are there. Laws are designed to keep rich people rich and poor people poor. That is exactly what it's designed to do. If you wanted to have an honest economy, well, you can't have an honest economy because you can't have an honest people, but you can have honest weights and measurements, and you can have that. And if you have that, then rich people go broke very quickly. In fact, Elon Musk would be broke very quickly. So would Bezos, so would all of these people. Pelosi, all of them, gone. They wouldn't even be in the top 10 million of rich people if you actually had honest weights and measures, because none of their empires are sustainable in a hard money economy. None of it. It's like cancer can't survive in an alkaline environment. That's all it is. It's the same basic thing. They can't survive in an economy wherein they would have to actually do the real work. And then they have to pay people real money to get them to help them build their empires. Because why would I build somebody else's? And think about it, put yourself in that situation. Why would you go and build somebody else's empire if you could build your own empire? Yeah, see? I mean, that's just it. That's why you have to create a fiat currency that constantly devalues. That way you can entice people in with promises of all kinds of wealth and opulence, and print it out of nothing. This started in 1865, right around April-ish, and has been going on ever since. And it got codified in 1913, December 23rd, if you want to get specific about it. So, yeah, it was actually part of the deal.